It's a pleasure to have Max Weinberg, the longtime drummer of the E Street Band, with me. Max will be at the Thrasher Opera House in Green Lake with his band, Jukebox, this Friday night. Good morning, Max.
Well, good morning, Wayne. It's good to be with you and the people of Green Lake. I'm looking forward to getting up there.
Well, you'll enjoy it. A great venue. That's this Friday night. Doors open at 6:45 and the show at 7:30. I don't know where to begin, Max. For 47 years now, since 1974, you've been the drummer for The Boss and the E Street Band. Tell us about how that occurred and what kind of an experience it's been.
Well, I was a young kid in New Jersey who had played drums from the age of 5 and done everything that most young musicians do, particularly as a drummer. I was a working drummer, so everything from weddings, bar mitzvahs, to little rock shows, whatever you could do, marching band in high school. In 1974, I answered an ad in what was then considered kind of an underground newspaper called The Village Voice in New York City, and they had a great section on music ads. And the ad said, wanted drummer, no junior Ginger Bakers, which was interesting because Ginger, of course, was the fabulous drummer for Cream and other groups, but he was a serious soloist. And it said, no junior Ginger Bakers. It was a little sarcastic way of transmitting the idea that, we wanted an accompanist. And that is, in fact, what I did best, was to do the best I could for whoever was up in front, whether it was in the old days a saxophone or a trumpet in a Dixieland band or a singer. So I went down August of 1974. I think there were about 65 drummers all together. I was maybe in the late 50s of that. And it was a life-changing moment to play with Bruce and Clarence Clemens and Gary Talent and Dan Federici, who at that point were the musicians there, the E Street Band, and no piano at that point. And I could tell immediately that this was a very, very serious group of individuals in terms of playing the music. And it wasn't just that Bruce was just incredible in this rehearsal, or this audition, I should say, but it was the way the other three guys were paying attention to him and the focus, and that was really impressive. So I auditioned, and then basically I went back the next week, and I didn't think I did very well the second time, because now I really wanted it, but that was on a Tuesday. On a Wednesday, got a call and come join the band. So 1974 to, 21, well, that's 47 years, and it's been quite an incredible journey. And my thing has always been to play all different types of music. Not peg myself as one thing or another. Rock and roll, of course, is my first love, and in this show, my Jukebox show, which I'm bringing to the Thrasher on the 22nd, is my favorite songs, basically, the songs I listened to as a kid learning how to play rock and roll drums. And it's an all-audience request show. And there's a video screen where it's revolving, and there's about 200 songs on it. And what we typically do is people just pick them. Lately, because of COVID protocols, we've been writing them out on people are putting them on index cards, and I read them from the stage, where the person's from, why they want to hear the song, announce their name. And it's quite fun because we never know what we're going to play. I've got a great bunch of musicians with me. It's a 4-piece band, 2 guitars, bass, and drums. And I tell stories that relate to the music and my career. So we've done about 250 of these, and I always say it's a party, not a concert. It's audience participatory.
I just have to say this. I saw you guys, you and Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, in Phoenix a number of years ago, and great show. And I think the boss that time was a little under the weather, got some treatment, and then was fine. He gutted through it, and it sounded great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we've been fortunate to have, with Bruce and the E Street Band, incredibly fabulous, dedicated fans through the years. And now I'm 70 years old. He just turned 72 a couple of weeks ago, and COVID has thrown everybody a curveball, but we're looking to get out there again, and I'm sure we will at some point when it's safe and people can kind of come and congregate at a concert and not feel apprehensive. But it's been, as you can imagine, a wild trip. And then making a detour for 16 years onto TV with the late night programs, which actually, as it turned out, was the end of the golden age of late night television. My tenure with late night with Conan O'Brien and the Tonight Show, it was the end of sort of, where numbers and numbers of people were tuning in, millions of people a night. The landscape has quite changed in the 11 years since I've done that. But that was also that was a wonderful job, and it was a very interesting experience because I'd never been even on TV before that. Just once, actually, I sat in on the drums with the band on the short-lived Dennis Miller show, which was back in the early 90s. And but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing the comedy. And I find that when I do the jukebox shows that a lot of people who come, who watch that TV show when they were in high school or maybe college, are now grown up with their own families, and they remember me from that as opposed to necessarily solely the E Street Band. So it's kind of fun to have both groups of fans, if you will, come and see us play now.
I'm speaking with Max Weinberg, the longtime drummer for The Boss and the E Street Band. He'll be appearing with his Jukebox show this Friday night at the Thrasher Opera House in Green Lake. Doors open at 6:45. The show at 7:30. As a drummer, do you have a favorite song?
Well, I approach them all the same. Do the best on each one as it comes down the pike. In concert with Bruce, I mean, it's a list of favorites. I'd have to give you the favorites of the favorites. It's always fun to play, for example, Ramrod in a football stadium because it's a very simple beat, but played correctly, it gets the entire place really rocking. You can see that physically rocking. So I've been asked that question. I like them all, of course. I love them all, but I get a particular thrill in Ramrod. During Ramrod, I can take a little bit of a moment or two here and there to kind of look at the audience and see what's how they're reacting. But with the jukebox, I mean, we play everything from Beatles to Stones to Springsteen to Kinks to Rod Stewart to Dave Clark 5, you name it. I mean, it really is tributing an era of music, a renaissance of music, the 60s and early 70s, rather than any one particular band. Tribute bands are very popular now because a lot of the original bands are not playing together, and the music is still so great. What we do is we tribute the whole era of this renaissance of great music that came out in the 60s when you had in the top 40, as it was called, you would have the Beatles, the Stones, Aretha Franklin, Sam and Dave, Wilson Pickett. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And you know every word of every song. And that's what kind of makes it fun because there's no surprises. We're not reinventing the wheel. Basically, my mandate is to give people what they want and more than their money's worth. It's a good time. And, of course, the Thrasher is well known. I mean, I've talked to people who played their classic old, vaudeville and early movie theater that thankfully was saved and preserved, which is increasingly a problem with rising land values. And the people of Green Lake are justifiably proud of having such a cool venue, small and intimate. And that's exactly what I like to play with the jukebox. Your part of the state is beautiful. I've been up there, and I'm a lake guy. So when you have a lake like Green Lake, I mean there's nothing I like better than being in the fall near a lake.
I'm talking with Max Weinberg, the drummer for the E Street Band and the boss for 47 years, his own band, Jukebox. That show coming this Friday night to the Thrasher Opera House in Green Lake. The doors open at 6:45, the show starting at 7:30. Again, Max, a little synopsis of what people can expect to hear this Friday night and anything else in closing.
Well, the jukebox is just that. You pick the songs. The audience picks the songs we're going to play, and it's a wide-ranging repertoire, what I call the renaissance of 60s and early 70s rock and roll. So if you can remember any of those bands, whether it's the Beatles, the Kinks, the Rolling Stones, the Who, the Young Rascals, you name it, we play it.
Max, thank you so much.
My pleasure being with you, and I hope to see a bunch of Green Lakers out there on Friday.
Again, Max Weinberg, the drummer for Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band for the last 47 years, bringing his own show, Jukebox, to the Thrasher Opera House in Green Lake this Friday night. Doors open at 6:45. The show starts at 7:30. Audience and staff must wear masks. Tickets are $60, and an additional VIP meet and greet is available as well. For more information on how to attend that or for tickets, go to the Thrasher Opera House website or call the Thrasher Opera House at 920-294-4279.